Hello Voodoo family. Today we will see how to render our 3D models that we create until now. Okay, then let's see what we have until now, what we have done until now. Okay, we modeled some characters, we modeled the room, we put the light, we put material. Then the rendering step is actually the final step of the 3D work because it's transforming our 3D model with all these elements in the final still image or in a sequence of image that become a video animation. Now, in Blender there are two render engine. Mainly, you can use even external Blender engine, but in this case there is two of them. One is called Eevee and the other one is called Cycles. You can find them here in the render properties panel. Okay, why there is two different? Okay, one is more okay, let's speak about Eevee. Is the faster to do, one is fast to render, is easy and easier, than is mainly used for gaming or for long animation. And then Cycles is more for rendering, photorealistic rendering. Then it's more time consuming and memory consuming. The second case, in the case you use Cycles, also it's important probably to own a very powerful graphic card, card in your computer, like a very good NVIDIA, I don't know, but because usually use a lot of needs a lot of power to export. Okay, first of all, before to export, we need to say to Blender, we need to go to the this panel, the output properties panel. Even if you render in Eevee or Blender, is the same, to define the final resolution of the image or the video. Be careful. Okay, for example, let's make an example that we will export 1500 pixel per 1500 pixel image. Then this resolution, if it's set up on 100, means that it will export 1500 per 1500. If we put 50, will be actually 750 pixel each, like divided two. Okay, then to divide two, you can even put like 50, but now it's not the case. Here you have the frame rate. Okay, then now even if we export an image, because we will export animation anyway, we have to set up the frame rate we will use to export the animation. Then, for example, you can use many of them. Okay, usually 24 is for cinema, 25 and 30 is to different standard for PAL and NTSC. Yes, then it's two different standard. That now it's not important. Usually I work with 25 FPS. Then here you can set up the frame range that you will export. For example, here I put 99, I will put 100 actually, and we said last time we were doing the animation part, 100 frames is usually at 25 frames per second, sorry, is going to be 4 seconds. Okay, then I will export animation of 4 seconds. Okay, then while you set up this, okay, here we have to set up what kind of file. Now I will put PNG. Usually I use to export still image as PNG and not JPEG, for one reason, because the JPEG is going to be compressed. Then of course the quality it's a bit lower depending by the compression, but in any case, even the compression is low, the JPEG is always compressed. In the contrary, the PNG is not compressed. Here there is a way to export PNG with no compression, of course. Then we remove the compression part, and you can export a black and white picture, a color picture, RGB, or what is RGBA? RGBA means like red, green, blue, and alpha. Then let's say, for example, if I want to export my subject, the alien, without the background, and in camera I will see this, and I want to export only the alien without anything on the background but with transparency, I will put RGBA, and I will remove all the rendering part here, but this we will see next time, even today actually. But I will switch off the camera. That means that this all group containing background is not going to be rendered. Okay, then the little I means view. It's visible in the viewport, which is this. The camera is the visibility in render. Then render or not render. Then okay, I won't export RGBA. I will export RGB with the background and everything else. Then I will switch on the background and I will switch off the room 1 and I will export the room 2, for example, and the inside armature 1. The armature is the bones we put last time inside our subject. Then the alien now is inside this armature because the armature becomes the body becomes parent of the armature, then it's inside, and then this is the second alien. And here there is, in this main folder, there is all my lights and the camera included, and we have the accessories, which I switch on only the bracelet. Okay, then let's see what happened. Okay, here, up here, you see straight away what happened if you are in Eevee, for example. If you go on render view by pressing this, sorry, I will switch on my shortcut, which I forget, sorry, okay. Now, if I switch on my rendering here, rendering view, I see straight away that if I go from Eevee or cycles, something change. You see, this is a bit grainy. Okay, why is grainy? Because actually when cycles make a rendering, create a lot of tiles which will render, and sampling one by one. Okay, then somehow it's a different calculation of the reflection, refraction, etc. of all the light. Then it's a very different system. Here, okay, inside the render view, when you go, let's start with Eevee. That is easy. Okay, then we'll start with Eevee. There is a way to simulate the aesthetic of cycles that is more photorealistic by adding something in this Eevee panel. For example, now I won't explain why, but if you start switching on ambient occlusion, the bloom sometimes can help to have this kind of halo around the lights, and screen space reflection. Okay, then suddenly something look like cycles, even if it's not. Then if you press this button here, you can switch off everything that is the information of the structure of your file. Then you see somehow a preview of your image. Okay, how to render now? Then if I want to do a render of this, I can go in render and then in this menu press render image, and then you will see super that is rendering actually in 1 second and 0.10. okay, and it's pretty good to be a 15 per 1500 pixel. Okay, 1500 per 1500 pixel. Okay, then this is Eevee. But if we want more realism, you see like our texture here, they don't look very good, even if of course this project was made very fast. I mean, like 10 minutes every weekend, every Saturday. Then if you work more on your project, will be more detailed, etc., etc. But let's see. Okay, then it's 1 second in Eevee. Against, let's go in cycles and do the same thing. Then we change in cycles. Now, when you go in cycles, here you have two setup, very important. One is the sampling. Okay, how many samples there is for any tiles. Then more is this number, more is accurate your render. Okay, it's very important also the resolution. Okay, usually I export my videos in 3000 per 3000 because I think it's art. Then when you start working on 3000 per 3000, you have 9 megapixel image that you can start printing in a very good resolution. That's why I prefer to use more time for my rendering and have a better result. But let's try 1500 per 1500 just because of time. Okay, then otherwise it's gonna be too long. Okay, here there is other in the rendering setting there is other stuff. Okay, for example, it's very important to put a denoiser. Now the denoiser works very well when in cycle you work with the GPU. Okay, then in the cycle setting, usually when you open it, it's opening with the CPU. then is if you have a GPU, you should go to check in your edit preference panel. Then you go in edit preference, you go under system, and then here actually usually you can use or CUDA or optics. I prefer to use CUDA, and then is using actually the CPU and the GPU together. Okay, and then you save the preferences, and then you go back here, and now you know it's a bit more powerful when you export, of course. Then what we can do, for example, okay, this is the, you look what is the samples. Okay, if I reduce the samples on my viewport, okay, then which is this, okay, it's a bit slow, of course. If I reduce them from you see it's appearing always more grain, and then it's kind of building up the picture pixel by pixel somehow. If I reduce this, you will see the resolution will go much lower. Then if I change and I refresh somehow, okay, it will remain much more grainy. You see, if I go up with this, for example 128, let's see, it's gonna be a bit slower, also because I'm streaming, of course, and then it takes a bit longer. But you see here, every second is kind of recalculating, you know, like pixels for any tiles, even more than seconds. Okay, you see, and is slowly coming, you know, more resolution, more details. Now, okay, this is the rendering engine I use for the Voodoos. Okay, also I use this for probably animation. When I do animation, I mostly try to export with cycles when it's possible. If I have to export hours I never do, but you know, like long footage, of course I will go for Eevee, because otherwise it takes probably days to export some, you know, minutes video. Then okay, these samples I will keep them low in the viewport just to keep my computer more, you know, light. Then I don't need to see it very well as I want to export it very well. Then I will increase probably this one, and I now keep it 32 just for speed reason, just not to make you bored and waiting for a rendering long time. Then I will switch on the denoiser. Here in the denoiser you have also some other things that you can manage. I mean, I usually work on that, but not now. It's a bit complicated to explain, but you know, you have many settings and you find a lot of tutorials that explain very well in details how is the rendering in one way or another. Then if I put GPU, now you will see that this rendering is gonna be much faster, you see. Then if I put 32, for example, it's gonna be faster than before. You see, that's the difference to work with a very good GPU or not. Let's see what happens when I export. Then if I'm happy with that, and here there is also some advanced thing that we can change, but it's not now the moment and what we want to do. Then if I want to export now, I put render image, and then you will see how it will work. Then slowly you see here the kind of you know, what happened, you know, what is doing now. The computer is actually sampling all the image, then at some point is denoising it, and now this time is 15 times more than the other one, more almost, then it's 15 seconds instead 1. But of course we have a different result, and which is more realistic. Okay, this is how to export images. I did it previously because I didn't want to lose a lot of time, and I export these two images in a new rendering folder that I did in the project that we have. And this was the two images. Then one is the cycles, sorry, let me move it there, and one is the cycles, one is the Eevee. Okay, then Eevee and cycles, you see the difference yourself. Okay, now how to export animations. The animations actually, you know, in general are sequence of image. Even when you see a movie, there is like 25 or 30 or 50 or 60 frame per second. That means that in 1 second you have 25 image. Now this is the same thing. There is different way to export. Again, how to set it up. I will export in this case in Eevee because it's much faster than 100 frame per 1 second is around 100 seconds, which is almost 2 minutes, 1 minute 40 seconds. Then I will just move it in Eevee to export fast our own animation, and I have to go back here and set up something to change, because now I'm exporting PNG and I don't want to export PNG. I want to export a video, and I don't want to export the video 1500 by 1500, but I will keep the lower the low sides of the full HD. Then I will put 1280 pixel per 1280 pixel for a video. And then, because here we have an animation that we have done last time, I want to export it, and I have to say where, because you will export a video and save it somewhere. Then, as I did already, I put here, the path to go in the workshop, 3D workshop project and rendering folder. And here I will change from PNG. Then if you actually put the destination by clicking on this folder and then put the destination in your computer. And then here we will change from image to video. Here you can see you have all the image kind of setting, and here all the videos. I will put FFmpeg video. I will change the container for Matroska to MP4 MPEG-4. And here you have information about the video codec. Usually when you export a video for YouTube, for whatever, you export an MPEG-4, which the codec is the H.264. This is a standard. Also our mobile phone, they export and they record video in H.264. Then this is the codec, and here you can put the quality. Then you can put, for example, highest quality, medium quality. Now we keep medium just for speed reasons again. Then when you set up all this, you will go back up here, and instead to press render image, you will render the animation. Then you will press render animation, and this is what you will see. Somehow you see frame by frame what happened with our freaky animation. And then you see frame by frame there is many things to correct in the animation, apparently, because we did it in 10 minutes, and this is probably a good beginning, but something to improve. And here is a good method. I mean, depends how many animations someone has to export. But for example, you will see next time that we speak about script and auto-generative animation. Somehow you can export something with auto-generative, but not always is the best solution. Then probably with animation I would never do it, because animations are bit more peculiar. It's something that you have probably to correct somehow. Then somehow it's nice to see how the animation works frame by frame, because actually you can have errors and then you know how to repair them. Then it's a long work, but it's art. Then art needs time, and then if you use time, your art will be better. Then we are actually, if you go okay, now everything is very slow, but under you have the timeline. Let me see if it's possible. Yes, you see the timeline and you see what is rendering. Now, actually, the 100 things were rendered. I did the rendering already before, but I did another one now. And this is the result. Sorry, wait. I have to just... yes. And that's the video we have just exported now, where you see it's very interesting, because in this case the light behave well with the body. You see the shadow reflecting, okay, apart the animation that is not perfect, but you see how the light reflect everywhere. Okay, then we will see next time how all these things can be automated. We can create auto-generative pictures, and then how you can also create auto-generative animations. But and then we'll speak how it will be my process, or how is my process of doing NFT. Thank you very much. See you next